AI is the automation of the creation of all types of communication.
Can it right now replace the innovative side of how to do things?
The number one thing that you own that could bring value to this world is your own creativity.
See a point in time where like the innovative side of things gets taken over by AI. So Elvis, the crazy AI guy, what's going on, my brother? How you doing today?
What's up, Joseph? How's it going?
Doing good, bro. I'm so happy to have you in here, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you, man. So here are the blueprint, bro. What we're gonna do is very simple. You have a very unique story. You know, we're talking offline here before we got on camera, and you know, you're like the poster child for taking risk and doing shit the unconventional way. But I tell everybody that knows you how you're a genius, and all geniuses have a little bit of crazy, and you agree with the crazy part, which is good. What we want to do, bro, is honestly just take the next 45 minutes, hour to go over your story with the hopes of providing some value. And if we touch one person, dude, we did our job today. So there's so many people out there that can learn from your story. And obviously it's one that I personally admire. And I think that we need to get it out there for more people to know.
Thank you.
That being said, brother, let's start right in the beginning. Talk to me about your upbringing. Where were you born, raised? Kind of walk me through that, and then we'll get into your journey professionally.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Thanks for the intro. Huachete, Miami.
Hey.
If you're from there, you know why I said it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, born and raised here, Westchester, Cuban parents, kind of typical, right? Went to Cole Park. I think that's where we met,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we had each other for a class or something, yeah, for sure.
Cole Park, played baseball like every other little Cuban boy, growing up as a kid and stuff. And went to college, FIU. All my like schools were like right next to each other. So it was like Everglades.
Westchester ever, huh?
Yeah, Everglades K through 8 center, then Cole Park right down the street, then FIU right after that. Then did the whole retail sales. I got into sales. I was like, you know.
So did you finish school? Like college?
So I went to FIU. I finished with a degree in finance and international business. At the time, I was like into like trading stocks and shit like that. I was like, all right, damn, maybe I'll be a day trader. That's okay. So then first job out of college, it was actually a day trading firm for like 3 days. And I was there. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can do this for 3 days. I mean, like for the rest of my life.
Right, you did it for
like,
3 days.
I don't think this is it. And the management was like weird. It was just like weird energy. And also they were going to pay me like a salary, but then I had to like bring some of my own money too. It was just like, all right. From there,
typical trading stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. From there, I was like, all right, maybe I'll go to like Wall Street or something. Like do something.
Is this after college or after high school?
This is after college. I'm here.
So
I'm
you're
trying to like
early 20s.
Early 20s, yeah. And then I heard somebody had recommended me to like, hey, get into sales. Like there's this company, ADP. And I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck ADP was, but I was like, can I curse on this?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So I didn't know what ADP was. And I was like, all right, I'll try to apply. And the first thing I saw was, and at the time I was working like retail while I was in college.
Excuse me.
And I already knew by retail that I wanted to do sales because I went from like doing regular retail to doing commission retail. It was a Nordstrom. I was selling shoes and shit. And I was like, damn, this is like, you can actually get paid for your efforts. And to me, it never made sense. Like, why am I going to get paid the same somebody else like sitting next to me when I'm working twice as hard? So immediately I'm like, all right, I know I want to do sales. And I also want to like advance the way I do sales. If I'm working at Nordstrom, I'm stuck in a box. And like, there'll be days where it's like raining. There's no customers walking in. I'm just standing there, like not making any money. And that's when I started hearing about outside sales. And when somebody recommended ADP, I learned those outside sales. I'm like, all right, this shit, I need to do this. Yeah. And
how old are you at this time?
I was 21. I went on a field ride and just like I won one of the reps. They were making like $100K a year. And I got to see like the day to day. I'm like, yo, I can do this. The fuck? Yeah, let's do it.
How'd you get in there? You knew somebody, you said, or?
I knew somebody. Then I interviewed once, twice. I blew like terrible interview and somehow they still hired me. And from there, I was just like, I was just hungry, dude. I was hungry. I wanted to make money.
Perfect. So let's just kind of recap what you just said. Kind of know ADP, you were there for a minute. So I want to kind of go through your journey there before we get into why and when you quit. But so born and raised here in Miami, working class family, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a lot of money growing up, or was it like you went to college? So let's kind of cover that too, because I think it's all relevant to the money side.
Yeah.
From a financial standpoint, if you lived in Westchester all your life, you don't have to answer that. I know that your parents for sure had to work, but you guys you had everything you needed. I would imagine as a child. But you went to school. Did you go to school because you liked school? Did you go to school because you thought it was an answer? Or did you go to school because your mom made you?
All three, basically. I went to school because I knew I couldn't not go to school. Plus, they paid like prepaid college. So
Okay, okay.
So I'm pot committed, like I say in poker. So I had to go to school, but I was just kind of doing. I wanted to do business. I was like, all right, business, entrepreneurship. I didn't really even know what that meant, but I knew deep down, like I what screwed me up a little bit? I got into like network marketing.
Okay.
And I was selling energy drinks, Verb. You remember Vima?
Oh, yeah.
I started
the
doing
person we spoke about earlier, yeah.
Yeah. I started doing that, and that opened my eyes to like, damn, you can be young and actually make a lot of money. Like that's freaking awesome. And then I saw college as like the traditional route where like you won't make a lot of money till like 10, 15 years down the line. Like you got to climb the corporate ladder, whatever degree you get. So then when I saw that, like I wanted to take this path of like either doing something in finance, maybe accounting or whatever. But deep down, like I saw like, you seen that meme where it's like the guy like walking his girl, he's like looking behind.
Yeah, exactly.
That was me. That was me.
The money walking by the other way.
Yeah, that was me like looking at damn sales. There's people my age making $100K a year. Like I don't care if it has to do with my degree or not. Like I want to go for the money. So that was basically it, man. College was just like a check the box shit. Cheated like crazy. We can cut.
Yeah, matter. I don't think there's no statute of limitations on your degree being revoked.
But yeah, from there, ADP was like my first hit of like financial dopamine.
Yeah, so I did outside sales. I think outside sales is a great teacher. It's a great school for the stuff you do now, just for being on your own. Because in outside sales, if you don't know Alex, the way it works is, and I almost worked at ADP a couple of times. I don't know if you remember. I reached out to you.
I remember you reached out to me, yeah.
And the way it works when you do outside sales, bro, is even though they have lead systems and things in place, you just they give you territory. It's like, go hunt, go make connections, find referral partners, knock on doors, figure this shit out, get paid. It's not what it was like when you started, and I know you got promoted. So why don't you just walk me through what was maybe like when you got into sales at ADP, was it harder than you thought? Were you actually good at it right away? Go kind of walk us through those first couple of years.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy because you're not, you're working at Nordstrom, you got people coming to you. There, you have to actually go out, create your opportunity. There's no inbound leads or anything like that. It's like, but what they did do really well, man, that I didn't realize it till after, is like they really teach you how to build relationships and build referring partnerships. And the model there is like in the beginning, it's like the hunter role. Like you're just grinding, you're knocking on doors, doing cold calls. And then the goal is like every month you're just building X amount of new partnerships. And every partnership with CPAs and accountants, like that's what I mainly worked. You can get 20 clients a year just from one good CPA partner.
Right.
So if every month you're building that pipeline, you're building this like momentum that actually kind of makes it a little hard to leave after, because when you build all these partnerships, you're like, damn, you're hitting your quota and you're not doing anywhere near the amount of work that you used to do.
Yeah.
So that actually taught me a lot, man, of like the power of automating sales. Like that's like when I really started thinking about like, damn, the goal isn't to be the best closer ever. The goal is to have a automated like influx of leads and appointments. Like,
work smart, not hard.
Exactly.
Yep. Absolutely. So you did it for a couple of years. Did you think at one point that you were going to climb the ladder and that was going to be how you retired, or did you always kind of have like entrepreneurship in the back of your mind, or both? What was that like as you're going through there?
So I didn't know if I was going to be there for the rest of my life, but I knew just in case, like I want to give it my all regardless.
Right.
Like I'm going to try to do the best I can every single year. And I'm gonna go deep on corporate right now. I think corporate is awesome, dude. I think it's great, the culture and all that. But in the beginning, you start getting, like I said, like you got this dopamine of like, oh shit, I made my first President's Club, and it's like, oh, man, I gotta hit my quota every month. And then you start getting all these incentives, and you start loving the job, you start loving the culture and the people around you and stuff. And then, but you start looking at like the vision of, all right, what's the end game here? And the more I kept thinking about it, the more it's like, all right, let's say I go into leadership. Maybe I'll be like a vice president after that. Maybe like a divisional vice president. I'm young as fuck. I started at 21. So it's like by the time I'm 40, I can be almost like CEO.
Yeah, up there.
But then what happens after that? There's not enough room for me and like 8 other CEOs eventually. Yeah. And what I've noticed is like with corporate, you go through the corporate ladder and eventually like there's not enough room for everybody at the top. Like you got to bounce. You got to go to different segments, different companies. And I think that's what really got me like wanting to like just set my mind on, all right, I think this is temporary. Because
at what point do you decide that? Like, when did it hit you? Do you remember like how many years in? Or I guess, let me rephrase the question. Once you realized that it was temporary, how much longer were you at ADP for?
So once I realized it was temporary, I was like right in between, like maybe going into leadership. And once you go into leadership, it's almost like you re-up a new lease. Almost like, all right, I'm here for like another couple of years. Let me give it my all again. And then like in that next position, you start feeling that stagnation. That's how it is with every role. You know, it's like you start somewhere, you get excited, and it's like, all right, this is kind of boring. What's next? And then you move up, and then it's like after being a sales leader and like just seeing how little room for growth there was at the top. The majority of the reason I was still there was because I cared about the people I worked with. Like I was really cool with everybody I worked with. But then the more I thought about like, all right, eventually I'm not going to keep working with these same people because eventually people move around. Then that was like what really got me to like say, all right, I need to just do something different. I need to think like, what the fuck am I going to do?
What year so when did you quit ADP?
That was 2021.
2021.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
And four. Yeah, and you started working there
2014. So I was there for like 7 years.
Nice. That's a long time. Yeah. It's like me with cell phones. Yeah. Which I went through the same exact thing, dude. It hit me at one point where I'm like, bro, I don't even know if I want to take the next position up. Yeah. I kind of, the higher it goes, the worse it gets. You know? Mm-hmm. And what really hit me, dude, is I started seeing the politics because now I was on the other side. And I started seeing how I had a guy that I knew that did absolutely nothing wrong and he got laid off because a new boss came in above him and just brought in his people. You know, like, and I was like, bro, this guy dedicated his fucking life to this shit because I always worked hard. But like, I always also try to find a way to like work smarter. I've always had that in me. I don't know why. I saw this dude bust his ass day in and day out and then they just cut him like nothing. And he was delivering numbers. I know this for a fact because I was in the same like group. And I'm like, yeah, these people don't give a fuck about you. You know, I'm my boss quitting away from the new guy not liking me and telling me I got to bounce. So you quit 2021, 7 years in. Why did you quit? Did you have something else lined up? How you started working on something? Is this when the pump house story comes in? Like,
yeah, so the pump house story comes in a little earlier than that. It was like 2018. Actually, this is pretty cool. So I read a book called The Outliers. Okay. Have you read that book?
I have not read it, but I've heard of it.
Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah, we talked about books earlier. That's the next one. Yeah. That's my favorite book because it gets you to open your eyes that I used to grow up thinking like all the successful people were they got lucky, you know? They were born with like a good voice or they were born like good dancers or, you know, they were born like there's 11-year-old kids that were throwing like 80 miles per hour fastballs while I was growing up. It's like, yeah, they got lucky. Yeah. And I just, it was a story I would tell myself. I didn't realize like luck doesn't like, yeah, it exists, but the harder you work, the luckier you 100%. Get. And I kind of started having regrets after I read that book because what makes it really interesting, bro, that book, it outlines a story of like, there's like a hockey team in Canada, like young kids, right? Like 5-year-olds. And they noticed that like they once like lined them up in terms of like their performance, like how skilled they are, and they ranked them. And all of the top ranked kids were born in January, February, March. All the other kids, like the worst performing kids, were born in like October, November, December. And when they started like thinking about that, like the cutoff to become to be able to play in the league, little league, in this case, like you're playing with 5-year-olds, it's December, like going into January, right? So like the kids that were born in January, February, March, they technically were a little bit older than everybody else, right? Which for you and me, it doesn't make a difference, right?
But at that
33,
age,
34,
it's
but
like
at that
20%
age,
of your life, 30% of your life.
yeah, at that age, like, 10 months, 11 months, like faster than these motherfuckers, right? So it's like at that point, when you start thinking about it, dude, it's like every little moment like makes such a big difference in your entire life. Because right now, like you're 5 years old, you're running faster than everybody else. Your parents are thinking like, oh, I got the golden child, right? And they start thinking like, damn, what if I need to start getting the best coaches. I need to start like you start catering more, and like they start believing in themselves more. And that's really all it fucking is, bro. Like the more you believe in yourself, the more luckier you get, the best results you get. And when I saw that and I learned about it, I started thinking like, damn, I would look at kids that were better than me at baseball, and I would think there's no way I'll ever make it to the majors because they'll make it before I will.
Right.
And there's not that much room for us, right? At the top two. So I think that crushed like my belief systems as a kid, and that moment was pivotal for me because I started thinking like, all right, I don't think I was like 27, maybe 28. I don't think I can make it to the major leagues anymore, but maybe I can do something else, like something different. Like at that point, I felt like no purpose in my life. I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do next, and that's when I grew up watching Shark Tank with my parents. So that's why I'm like, damn, maybe I'll make a product one day or some shit.
Is that how the idea was born, or the idea?
It was how I started writing down ideas. So I started like making a list of ideas, and the third idea was a gas rag. It was like 2018. I started writing down ideas. I wrote down ideas for like a whole year, and then I had a partner that had invested in the business with me. So like we picked one of the ideas together, and it was I kind of had a process of elimination because I went like a whole year writing ideas, and it's like, dude, eventually you got to pick one, work on one. How do I pick one? Like I had literally like 80 ideas or something like that. And what I thought about was, this is like after, dude, I did a lot of stuff with business, like entrepreneurship and just watching videos and stuff. I thought about like addressable market, like what's a product that a lot of people could actually use. Could I create a vision of like actually manufacturing it at a cost where it's low enough for me to pay, but I can sell it for a good enough price to where I can still make money in between after all expenses, overhead and all that. And when I thought of like, when we started thinking about the glove, it's like, damn, that's probably really cheap to make, could be patentable. And it was, we picked it, but it took months before we even started working on it.
So, and just so, can you explain exactly what the product was in detail?
Yeah. So I was at a gas station, and the way I started writing down ideas, dude, honestly, I looked it up on YouTube. I looked up like, how do I come up with a product idea? And there was some crazy ass guy with like a bunch of whiteboards, which now I look at him, I'm like, yo, I think that's me from like the past. And he had a bunch of big ass whiteboards everywhere, and he's like, this is how I come up with inventions and ideas. And then he had this like process where it's like, every time you have a problem, don't get angry, first of all. Like, be like, oh, a problem. Because problems mean opportunities. Opportunities mean potential solutions. And if you solve it for yourself, you can create a product, you can solve it for other people. And just that thought process, dude, like every time I would encounter a problem, like gas stations, I didn't like touching gas pump handles. I'm like, ooh, problem. I normally would get like a CVS receipt or something like that. Like I would have them just thrown in the car, wouldn't want to touch the handle. There was a day I didn't have anything, and I'm like, bro, there should be like a glove or some shit.
That's how the idea was.
Yeah, and then like I saw that there was these plastic gloves, like throwaway gloves, that they have like these dispensers.
Yes.
And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, not the only guy that thinks that there should be gloves. And then at some point we started thinking like, well, I mean, they have plastic. That's not good. That's not good for the environment. Like, what if there was a reusable glove? And from there, dude, it was just like 8 different prototypes. And eventually it turned into Pump Out, the first reusable gas glove, sticks on your gas tank door.
Nice. Yeah. Were you able to ever get through a patent process? Were you able to do a patent for it? Patent pending, and it doesn't protect you. Yeah. Shit.
No, it doesn't protect you. I got in Cubans will say like when you get fucked over a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they got me sin vaselina. It was,
All right, so walk me through, I guess, the good part first. 'Cause I know you started selling it.
yeah. So that's part of how I left my corporate job because like, um, dude, I became obsessed with like paid ads because I knew I had to learn paid ads if I wanted to get my product out there, or at least like know how to like do business online. And at that point, I put like $50,000 into the project. And between like at first, I hired a product development company. They gave us the first prototype, which was terrible. And then like we were kind of running out of money, so I had we had to learn how to like actually manufacture a product from scratch. Then when we finally had it, had like 20K left to invest in like marketing agencies, and because we thought that was like the smart thing to do, just get a marketing agency to help you sell the product. But turns out, you can fail big time if you hire the wrong agency, or you can literally spend $20,000 and not make a single penny. True. So that's basically what happened. And at that point, dude, I was like, you know how it is, man. When you hit that fight or flight, like your back is against the wall, like you gotta fucking do something. I had like $500 left on a credit card at that point because I put all my money into the project, and took that $500 from 500 to $100,000 in revenue in 30 days. And that was like
through paid ads.
But it took like a whole month of me being hyper obsessed. When they talk about like Mr. Beast, like super analytical with every single, dude, we probably made like 300 variations of ads before we finally found the one ad that got us a $5 customer acquisition cost. And the cool thing is when you have a lot of inventory, it's like, fuck, just keep on.
And were you sitting on a bunch of inventory?
Yeah.
So you spend money.
Yeah.
I guess hence why you're more in the service-based business now is
part
of the issue with a product is that for you to get your manufacturing costs down, you got to manufacture in bulk.
Yeah.
Where the hell were you storing all this product?
I had a warehouse here in Durham.
Oh, so you had a warehouse and everything. So you guys went full.
It was right by here. Yeah.
So full blown. Let me ask you, bro, as you're going through this, are you telling your family what's going on? Are they involved? Do they know? Do they think you're crazy? Are they proud of you? Are you getting support? Are you getting told,
yes,
stop, then go back to your job? What was happening in your life?
So I decided to leave my job because I was managing a whole sales team. And it was like that right there, which leadership in sales it's by far the hardest job, I think, in any company. Like being like an actual sales manager, like being a vice president is maybe like, you're overlooking your sales managers. That could be a little bit
like
more
a field sales manager.
But being a sales manager, you're doing a lot of developing, a lot of coaching, a lot of, just setting goals, expectations. Like it was a lot, man. And at that point, the business started moving so fast that I was like kind of scared if I kept on deviating my focus and didn't take that leap, things wouldn't work out okay. But then I didn't think it was smart for me to leave. I was making, close to $200K a year, I think, working at ADP. So that was like tough. But then I just went back to like, all right, what's my fucking end goal? Do I plan to be here for the rest of my life? I already determined that's not going to be the case. So then what do I need to do? All right, well, I'll take this leap. Worst case scenario, if I can't pay myself for whatever reason, I learned how to take a product company from 0 to 100K a month. Like I think I can get business somewhere else, like helping other companies grow on social media. So yeah, I took the leap, and honestly, it was like my funnest year of my life because it's like, you're seeing your baby just like
come to fruition,
and like you have the flexibility to like, take the leap. And I had taken, I took out like my 401k and stuff, and looking back, I probably could have stuck around a little bit longer.
Yeah, but it wasn't your cards, bro.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now talk to me about how I went south. I think that's probably the biggest, sometimes, the skill of making it is good. Figuring out why you lost shit is better. So you don't lose it again. So absolutely. What happened? When did things go south?
This is where the gems come in, right? Because if I don't talk about the mistakes, then people don't learn. Mm-hmm. So the biggest mistake I made was going into the holidays. We were doing like 4,000-5,000 orders a month or something like that. And
what year are we at now?
So still towards the end of 2021.
So this is pandemic part two, where like
it was slightly past the pandemic. So
but like you had a boom during the pandemic, I'd imagine, right?
yeah, we weren't able to launch like right when we launched like right when the pandemic was kind of ending.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, do you think the fact that people became way more, like some of the regulations they had were common sense, like wash your hands.
yeah,
Like it's common thing that people, I guess, don't commonly do.
yeah,
Did that play a part too in the sales, do you think? And the
yeah,
demand, maybe?
absolutely. It was like some people were like, "Oh, you guys built this because of COVID." It's like, no, I mean, it was just coincidence. But there was a lot. There was actually like news articles where people had like needles that they were putting in like gas stations. There was like a lot of
Crazy shit, yeah.
and that was one of the biggest ways that people were transmitting the disease. So, yeah, I think it helped definitely.
Okay, my best. I didn't want to interrupt, but I've always
No,
had that thought and that question because I know that
yeah,
people say, "Oh, you got insurance in COVID." People for sure were scared of dying. I'm like, yeah, I guess they were, and it does help, but I'm not sure if that was
yeah,
the only factor that
yeah,
that
yeah,
played a part in it. But all
yeah.
right, so holidays were coming. You
So
were doing 5,000 orders a month.
holidays are coming, and this is like an easy mistake that anybody could avoid, especially running paid ads, because a lot of people will see success running paid ads, but and this is kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Paid ads is not a predictable system. It's not a predictable long-term game plan because it's dependent on the market.
Right.
It's depending on whatever changes in the market, competition that comes in the market, or counterfeits that take your product that kind of affects you too. And we over leveraged ourselves because we needed more inventory for the holidays. Cash flow, when you're dealing with that much inventory, supply chain and cash flow, it's really tough. Like, you think, shit, it's like you made 100K a month, but it needs to all like circulate in the business. So then at some point we took out a business loan, and it was a pretty hefty like daily remittance that we were paying back, and which was great, because it was like $800, $900 a day that we were paying back, but we were making like 3 to 4K a day, and then the paid ads cost starts going up during the holidays. I didn't even think about that because I'm too fucking inexperienced. I'm an idiot. I don't know shit. I think I know a lot. I don't know anything.
Right.
And then if the costs start going up and it's not profitable, we got to cut the ads. So if we stop the ads, we stop the revenue. If we stop the revenue, the loans don't stop. You
still gotta pay it.
Yeah, dude. So it was like this like torture of like every day I'm just seeing, the company will do like $400, $1,000 in revenue, but then we'll either break even or lose money every day. And it's like, shit, what are we gonna do? And at that point, dude, it was like a whole year in, still hadn't paid myself. I had to like start looking for opportunities to either generate a full-time income while I keep building it, so forth. And that's when the whole like Grant Cardone stuff came into the picture.
Yes. And eventually, so the holidays passed. Did it drain you to the point that you had to shut it down? Because you said you told me earlier that a patent pending didn't protect you. What did you mean by that?
So in like that October, we launched on Amazon, and we did like 20K the first month organically, no paid ads. And then that same like 3 weeks later, we see a counterfeit pop up. It's like, oh shit, bro, it's literally the same product. Like they had our product video that we made on their listing.
It's crazy.
And like we made then like 3 more pop up. And then like before we know it, dude, there's like 15 of them, like Amazon listings with like it's our manufacturer. Like I created the mode.
Yeah.
And it was just like our manufacturer probably selling our product to other people. And that affects everything because there's that unattributed return on ad spend where it's like if you're running ads for your business and they go to Amazon, they buy it, you'll see an influx, right? It's hard to attribute it, but if now there's other competitors and they're selling it they're selling it for like 33% off of the price that you're charging, it was brutal, dude. And we're able to see like their listings, they had like $50,000 in revenue, some of them per month is what they were making off of our product. And at that point, like, it's like things were like, and also I was having issues with my business partner at the time. It was like kind of shaking, dude. And I knew like I'm about to run out of money. I need to like work somewhere and do something. Yeah. So from there, man, it was what I was saying with Amazon is like if you have a patent pending, they won't help you out. Like if somebody comes in with a counterfeit and you have a full patent, then they'll actually take down the other person's listing. But if you have a patent pending, which like doesn't mean you're not gonna get it, you can still get it.
But it doesn't mean you've gotten it either. So
Yeah, and that could take years sometimes. Like
yeah.
it's really uncontrollable too.
So I'll tell you what I think the biggest lessons, based on what you've said, are what I took.
Yeah,
Or not even lessons, the biggest three reasons. One, you over leverage yourself.
yeah,
You didn't over leverage an inventory, and obviously you didn't account for your ads going up in cost
yeah,
out of inexperience in a sense.
yeah,
Two, took out a bad loan,
yeah.
which goes back to the over leveraging, because now you got to pay back this loan. You took out an MCA, I would imagine, right? A merchant cash advance.
It was
What
a
it
hard
is.
money loan.
Okay. So I'm in the way MCAs work is they charge
Yeah.
you daily. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah,
And then three, you thought you were protected by a patent pending, if I understand correctly. You never did you ever think somebody would make a counterfeit and
yeah. I think
like did it ever cross your mind, or is that one of those things that you just
honestly,
figured out?
it crossed my mind, and from what I've learned, man, it's like it's so hard to protect yourself. That's why building a brand is the number one thing. Like you know, somebody could take your product, but if you build a brand and
It's still gonna come
brand it
to you.
well, so that kind of did help us a lot because we were still getting sales, even though it was like our Amazon was still getting sales. But yeah, dude, I'd say those are definitely the top three. Some of the top three.
So you shut down beginning of 22.
So, I mean, still have it going. Like the company's still
Right.
there,
Well,
but
you shifted your focus.
I
Let's
shifted,
say, yeah.
I shifted my focus. And honestly, you know what shifted my focus? We sold 55,000 pump outs. I didn't
Fucking crazy.
make a penny. I lost money in the project. I saw Alex Ramosi, and bro, I've always been one that's like, if I want certain results, just look at what other people are doing. He sold tens of thousands of people too. Biggest difference, I had a $20 product. He had a tens of thousands dollar product. And that, when I saw that, that was like one of my biggest like reasons for like, all right, I want to get away from physical products and I want to do B2B because what he says, it's like business owners pay more. Makes sense.
Sure.
Solve rich people problems. Makes sense.
So your bigger product in this instance would be finding a solution for a problem that a business owner will have.
Yeah.
The business owner is actually, in a sense, the client. Well, they're the client, but they're not the product, but they're the. Makes sense. So you started working. Talk to me about this Grant Cardone stuff.
Yeah.
What you do there?
There's actually one quick gap right there where it's like what really was a pivotal moment, dude. It's like we were drowning, but we were applying for Shark Tank 3 years in a row. And on the third year, this was like April of that year,
Okay.
I got an email from Shark Tank. You've been accepted. And I was like, dude, this is exactly what we need. Like, it was like perfect timing. Like, you know, I'm about to go under and shit. And like, you know, we've done well in sales. So it's clearly like it's a good product and all that. And we worked with the producers for 4 weeks. And on the 6th week, you're supposed to fly out, pitch in front of the Sharks. And by week 4, he calls me an hour before our weekly meeting. And his name is Sean. He's like, and dude, you know when something's like too good to be true, you almost like think like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. Why is he calling me an hour before the weekly meeting? If he has something to say, he can say it in the meeting, unless he's gonna cancel the meeting. Wait, why is he gonna cancel the meeting? And you start getting your own head.
That rabbit hole, yeah.
And then I'm like, oh God, please don't be bad news. Please don't be. I pick up. He's like, Elvis, I don't have good news for you. I'm like, what's going on, Sean? He's like, yeah, it turns out we're going into the season with one less company than we thought we were going into the season with. And I was like, dude, that was actually my goal. My goal wasn't to invent a product. Like I wanted to make it on Shark Tank. That was like the major leagues of baseball. Right. And dude, that was like the hardest thing, man. Cause like at that point I was you shouldn't ever count on that.
Yeah,
but it was like, that was like,
said than done.
And the moment that happened, I was like, all right, I need to step away from like deviate my focus somewhere else. And that's when the whole like, you know, I honestly, dude, I wanted to just get better at my skills because I knew I'm like still like in a good trajectory. Like, all right, I built a product, sold a shit ton of product. If I can just do the same shit for a higher ticket product, maybe like a B2B product, right. I can make hundreds of millions or billions. And same shit with Hormozy. All right, who's doing a lot of money in revenue when it comes to paid ads and all that? Grant Cardone. I looked on LinkedIn That's the thing ADP taught me too, bro. Like I'll get in any fucking door. Like that was like my confidence. Like I'll get in any door. And I saw they were looking for a senior media buyer. I went to apply and it was like, oh, in person. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not working in person.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'll apply and let me see if I can like really impress them and just be like, oh, I thought it was like remote. No, I can't do it. And that happened.
Did that work?
It didn't work. And then but then they called me a week later and they're like, all right, what if you come like once every couple of weeks? And I'm like, I'm game. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, bro, I went from being like getting eviction notices at the door to now I was making like 10K a month, just one person, like running ads for one account, which I started doing Facebook and TikTok for him. And that was like, to me, I'm like, ooh, I got to keep this momentum because I'm about to run ads for a billionaire, whatever the fuck he is. And I'm going to learn a lot from this. So I just took that year. That was like kind of like when we connected again. And from there, it's just been, I just saw a bunch of shit, dude, with AI. That's what got me into AI.
Yeah, because you started peeping.
We started, they were trying to stay ahead of the game. So we started executing with AI for paid ads. And as the media buyer, like, you're a media buyer, you're running paid ads, you get to see firsthand, like, what works, what doesn't work.
Right.
And these are like the stories I tell myself. I'm like, yo, I'm running paid ads, like spending $175K a day. And I get to see how AI performs using a budget of $175K a day. I can see how it compares to the shit that humans make.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, ooh, I know math, dude. Data doesn't lie. The data shows like this is better than people. And from there, I'm just like, I'm committed to this vision now.
Is that why the fascination with AI or the interest in
the
AI?
Conviction, bro. It's just I'm confident where it's going. Nobody can tell me otherwise. So it's like if I'm not one of the people talking about it, then who the fuck is?
All right. So now, walk me through what exactly it is you do now. What type of people do you help? Kind of what you got going on. What does that look like?
So the vision kind of turned a little bit, a few times. First, I just wanted greed. I'm like, all right, I can build because I got into automation, for running these funnels. I can see like, all right, how do we automate the entire sales process? And that's like the key to business. If you can automate the sales process, you can sell 10x, 20x more. And when I started seeing what AI does, it's like, dude, you can build an automated sales process for anybody. You can automate the ads, you can automate SMS, emails. And I started just like going on the whiteboard, dude. I started just thinking like, all right, what is all this shit? What is AI even? All right, and I literally think like first principle. And I heard like Elon Musk talk about this shit. And I've studied a lot of billionaires, bro, because like I want to think how they think. Why the fuck would I listen to anybody else? And what they do is they take everything down first principle. So it's like first principle, all right, what is AI? And bro, I would sit down on a whiteboard and just think, all right, it does this, it can communicate anything. And what I like summed it down to, I'm like, all right, AI is the automation of the creation of all types of communication. Just take that one fact, right? It's a fact, that's what it is. Okay, what does that mean? It means you can automatically create any type of communication. Okay. If I can use that to automatically create any type of communication, what type of communication do I want to create?
Sales communication.
Shit, communication that makes money, right? And then that's when I was like, okay, I can do this for any business now. And then I started thinking, okay, what if I build a business of like automating sales processes and then I just hire a bunch of salespeople? But then I'm hiring salespeople to help me sell a product that helps them sell stuff. Like, what if they just take the product? And then the more I start going down that rabbit hole, I'm like, oh, we're not going to have employees in the future. Like, it's like it's fair game.
Right.
And from there, I'm like, all right, coaching people. I think that's it. Everybody needs to know this. If everybody learns this, shit, you know how many people don't fail at business if they learn how to just create a marketing campaign? And now they can do it. And I'm just like driving myself crazy. And I'm like that guy from the whiteboards. Driving myself crazy.
In the YouTube video.
Yeah. And I started thinking, I'm like, bro, this is crazy. And that's where the crazy AI guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really crazy. It's like, I struggled so much with my product company because there was like a whole year where I had the product and I couldn't get it out to anybody.
Right.
And I got like hired marketing agencies that didn't give me any results. And then eventually I had to go through all that painful experience of like learning all this, when it's like now you can come in with a brand new product, not have to go through any of this, and just learn how to do it right the first time, because it does good shit for you. And the more I've been like refining this vision, the more I just keep thinking like, oh, dude, we're going 2025. There's no reason at all to buy leads off of lead vendors, hire marketing agencies. Everybody needs to learn how to do this on their own. And I don't even know how they don't teach us in schools. Like, wouldn't that be like the best thing? But it's not.
It is. So let me ask you though, because you know, when you say, like, let's take certain companies for instance, and I'm talking about like Coca-Cola. I don't know, like, and obviously that's like a Fortune 500 company. It's not your average company, but I don't know. Help me think of a big company that's not Coca-Cola, but it's big. This is Coca-Cola as an example. These bigger companies, these mid-level enterprise companies, we're talking a B2B term, they have in-house marketing teams. They have, you know, because when you're talking from a small business standpoint, I agree. I think, you know, like, small business is very much so like you have your solopreneurs, you have your small business entrepreneurs, and all they are is they wear 13 different hats. So I can see how there's a huge opportunity there for them to honestly do shit on their own, because the information's out there already. They got to just know how to apply, and obviously you come in and you kind of teach that and save them some of the time that they will spend time and money they spend trying to learn it on their own. But when it comes to mid-sized companies, enterprise companies, large companies, yeah, they have their marketing teams. Do you see those companies going away from their internal marketing teams? Or is it one of those things where, like, if their internal marketing teams don't adapt to AI, then the company will go down, but as long as they adapt, they'll still have work? From a marketing standpoint specifically.
Yeah, so I've thought about this a lot, because I wanted to go into the market, like, just really understanding like what
100%.
alternative outcomes could happen. And what I believe is most large companies aren't going to survive, honestly, because think about your options. Like, you have your whole in-house marketing team, you equip them with all the best tools when it comes to AI and resources. Shit, if you're equipping them with those tools, why the fuck would they even stay with you at that point? Like, why not just
because the part that I think you're missing, and I'll just play, you know,
play devil's advocate.
in a debate show. The part that I've had this conversation with you before. The part that I think you're missing is there's still a human factor of comfort, and maybe it'll go from where, like, your average senior media buyer at a big company spending a couple $100,000 a day in ad spend makes, I don't know, just for argument's sake, makes $250,000 a year. Now they're going to go to $500,000 a year. I can see those salaries increasing because there's such an ease for them to go into their own and just start their own thing. But at the same time, there are still people that are going to take the $500,000 salary in this example, you know, over taking the risk and do it on their own.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because if a small business owner can go and pay a fee to a consulting company, which is what you do essentially, to coach them how to do this, you mean to tell me Coca-Cola cannot come and pay you $1 million right now to teach other people? And again, I'm speaking just in general examples here, not actual numbers. And then they're going to pay their people, or they'll buy out a company like yours, you know, things like that they'll make it work. Because that's the part where like, you're so into your vision that I want to play devil's advocate and not change your mind, but just get you to look at it from a different angle, if that makes any sense. Because I do see the workforce going in. I mean, I'm in it. I see it. I mean, agents don't buy leads anymore. Agents want to generate their own shit. I am a small business, and I don't want to have my agents buy leads. I want to just have that shit and do it myself. Yeah. You know, and if it comes down to having to teach the agents how to do it, I'm okay with that, because the business still makes money without me having to have the marketing in-house. Like, it's all relative to the business model. But when we say large companies are not going to survive, and we're talking about these companies that have, and I mean, some might go down, don't get me wrong, and there's other factors. Maybe the industry they're in is becoming obsolete itself. You know, there's not just a marketing and the way that you acquire clients. It can also be the product you sell.
Yeah, so there's certain brands that are very long lasting. Not to say, like, you know, they're bulletproof. Like, for example, like what's happening right now with Prime and Gatorade. You know, it's talking about the beverage market.
Right.
That's what I believe we're going to see more of. So I believe all these big companies, it's not so much about their internal marketing team like having retention issues and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, that's part of it. But there's also the opportunity where anybody else can now create anything they want. Anything, like literally any type of business you can start, like especially going into this year, there's AI agents. Like, bro, you can literally program an AI agent. You just give it like a title of whatever type of company you want to create, and it'll create everything that you need for that company. So what I do believe is going to happen, like especially a lot of big software companies, it's all commoditized.
And again, the industry, I think, is completely relevant to this.
So then the way I see it, it's like, dude, you're going to have kids, like 14-year-olds that are going to be able to operate at an expert level with AI agents for, let's say, a software company. And it's almost like, the way I like to see it, an analogy I gave the other day, it's like, you ever seen the Discovery Channel? It's like a shark that like gets, or like a whale that dies, and it's like with a bunch of sharks like eating it. That's what I believe is going to happen to a lot of companies.
Well, let me ask you, if we stick in the beverage market, right? Because you did mention earlier that the importance of building a brand. Because to a certain extent, not because of AI, but what you're describing is going to happen to you, right? Like you call them counterfeits, I think, or dupes, or whatever the case may be. But somebody goes and makes a Gatorade and calls them something else. Wouldn't the strength, again, we're talking about massive companies here. I know this is a minimal example compared to the general amount of businesses out there, but wouldn't the strength of a brand like Gatorade still make me want to buy that Gatorade over the AI produced product that just came out? Because I know it's Gatorade, because I'm used to Gatorade. Kind of like ADP. The ADP is not cheap, but people still pay ADP because of their brand.
Yeah, it's
just thinking from the consumer market standpoint. You know what I mean? Like,
from the consumer, attention is always gonna like trump everything. So like wherever the attention is going, like that's what people are focusing on. So like if people are paying attention to Logan Paul and shit, or whoever the next competitor will be, like that's what I think is gonna happen. Like the big Goliaths are like, it's low hanging fruit, because the big Goliaths can't move. Like a big giant business, like there's something called depth, right, within a business, where like it's hard to move as fast and like change gears in the market compared to like a smaller company. So that's what I think it is, dude. It's just a bunch of people have like the biggest advantage ever now, regardless of how big you are.
Yeah. Perfect. You answered that.
Yeah.
Perfectly, by the way. Yeah, that wasn't what I meant. I was going to put you on the spot, but yeah, I figured I'd challenge you.
What are you going to put me on the spot?
I'm going to ask you now.
Oh,
that's
God.
my next question.
Oh.
So I want you to explain to me. You started a product. You know everything you did wrong.
Yeah.
You mastered, I know you're good at it because you've done it for me. You've mastered the art of honestly generating clientele, whether it's through just you doing it yourself or through leveraging AI to do it for you. But you've gotten really good at generating clients for basically anything that there's a market for. You know what I mean? Yeah, you've chosen the path of teaching others rather than the path of using that knowledge to start something for yourself. Meaning, well, you're doing like a specific business per se, pick any industry, you know what I mean? Why, and I see this with a lot of people that are as good as you are at what you do. You're not the only person that this applies to. Actually, one of the media buyers that works with us now, I asked him the same exact question last week when we were having our meeting. Like, why don't you just start something like a separate business outside of what you consult and coach on? Because you can continue to teach and coach, and it's obviously something that you're giving a lot of value to people for. But like, you're coaching in, I don't know, a solar company. I remember you were working with back. I don't know if you still work with them or not, but why not just start a solar company and use that as a massive vehicle to flood you with money, and then really just keep coaching at that point on your own terms without having to like maybe have the stress of coming up with business models and things like that, where you're just doing it purely out of passion at this point, more than passion / obviously you're in business to make money, you got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Why is it that a lot of guys in your position take the educational route? You think it's kind of like the times, the opportunity to educate, or is it like is it simpler than just kind of starting the traditional business route, knowing what you know now? Because you do have an advantage compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah, so if I would have done it again, I would have done it the right way. Here's the problem. Like I got the success I had. I got really good at everything I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like, all right, I want to go into coaching. I'll share the reasons why I went into coaching.
Right.
But you think just like any other business, like you think oh, this is going to be easy. I got this. And it always takes a lot longer than what you think it's going to take. So it took me like a whole year to get good at coaching, like actually get good. And a big part of it, dude, is like people don't want to be coached. Like people like it's a lot of people just, you know, you'll tell them exactly what they can do to change their lives with this, and they need like hand holding. Like they need you to, and that's what I've like learned a lot. I've gotten better at it. But the vision I had was, the more I thought about what's going to happen in the future with technology and AI and all that, the more I started thinking like, all right, everything that has to do with business, products and services, commoditized.
Okay.
Like, and I can see that happening very vividly. Like in the next couple of years, like that's really what's going to matter. And humans, like human capital, that's the number one resource in the future. Like you being able to either provide people with media buyers, provide people with sales and marketing. So the vision for artificial closers is like be able to create the whole sales process for people. And I kind of saw it as like, I want to be one of the early movers when it comes to educating people on this, because that'll help me build the largest community of people that know how to use all this. And then from there, the ideas are fucking endless. You know,
Because you have a network of people that are good at it.
To me, I see it as like, bro, if I can have a network of 1,000 people that I've helped generate leads using AI, and then I can keep on creating more products and services and ask them if they want to become affiliates and stuff like that. That's kind of like my business model of where I'm going with this.
That's fair.
And now what we're doing is like, we're going to start doing industry focus. So like I have an industry leader for like real estate, all these different industries. Right. So then the goal is like, you know, we're helping them grow their business using AI. Once they've done that, they become a success story of their own, like vision of using AI for their business. It's like, hey, why don't you try to just see if you can help anybody else with this? There's a lot of people that need this. So I guess the approach I took was more.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. And it was a similar answer to what my other friend gave me, to be honest with you. And I accepted the answer. Like yeah. I'm not confrontational. I'm very argumentative, but I also have common sense. You know what I mean? Like if things make sense, they just make sense. Yeah. And the vision is there. I mean, I like I said earlier, I do think you're a genius, and every genius has a little bit of crazy in them. And I think the crazy AI guy fits you perfectly. Like when I saw you change your handle to them, like I like looking at the handle. Man.
Appreciate
it. You know, I love handles and shit, so I'm always looking at them. What is the craziest thing, Elvis, that AI can do that you know of right now? I know that's like a very general question, but
let me see if I can get you a good answer.
I know you have a few good answers in you.
So there's like some answers where it's so high level that like it's
so yeah, something in layman's terms that the average viewer can understand. Yeah.
So every job is communication.
Right.
And the first time anybody ever started a business and they hired their first employee, they hired them because they needed help communicating something. Either communicating something in product development, communicating in marketing, communicating in sales, communicating in fulfillment. So if every job has to do with communication, AI could literally do any job. And that's like, I still go back to this because this is the craziest shit. It's like AI could do any job. And if anybody thinks right now, like anybody watching right now, like think about your job. You're either communicating to a person or you're communicating to a spreadsheet or a computer. You're communicating back and forth. AI agents is what people need to learn about because it's different than AI where I pull up ChatGPT, I ask it to give me a recipe for a sandwich, and then it does it. AI agents is, you don't even have to ask it for anything. You just give it a set of rules and it'll get the recipe. And if it's programmed on a humanoid, it'll make the fucking sandwich for you. And that process and that thought process scares the fuck out of me.
Okay. Now let me ask you, you say it'll make a sandwich for you, like blue collar jobs, truck drivers, construction workers. Are we talking about like robots programmed by AI type deal? Is that what you're referring to?
Tesla trucks already.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure I understood that. And then I guess my other part is you have to give it a set of rules. You got to train I mean, obviously, my basic knowledge of AI, me personally, is like ChatGPT, which I love, and I know that's like entry level AI stuff. But you still got to train it, right? So there's a human element to innovation, which if you train it good enough, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, my ChatGPT talk sounds like me already. Like I used to have to get 10 variations of something I needed.
Yeah.
It's already down to it. Like on the first or second one, I got what I want because it understands how I think.
Yeah.
But it's still taking me developing my way of thinking to transfer it over to ChatGPT to understand how I want shit to be said or the tonality I want on certain things, whatever the case may be. Do you see a point in time where like the innovative side of things gets taken over by AI? Because it does need human element to train them, at least right now. But do you see it where other innovators, the business leaders like Elon Musk and Alex Hormozzi's of the world, 100 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever the timeline may be, get replaced with AI because AI could do that and more?
Yeah. There's a very, very high likelihood. So that what you're referring to is like generative artificial intelligence, where that's like, there's like a fine line between like, is this even life that we're creating?
Well,
Or
more
is
like
it-
like for example, like you came up with these ideas. Like, could you had got an AI to come up with your business model for you the way that you see it? You know what I mean? Like at some point, now you could tell AI what you wanted it to do and train them, and now you tell them, give me another business model for something else. And it's probably gonna understand your way of thinking and build out a business model for you. But you still had to train it. You still were the innovator, Elvis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can at some point, actually, can it right now? Actually, forget at some point, everything is possible. But can it right now replace the innovative side of how to do things? Because anything that's already out there that humans do, no doubt. But there are still things that are getting invented that doesn't exist, that human brains are inventing. Do you see a time and place right now where that gets replaced by artificial intelligence? That was good, right?
That was a good question. Yeah. So that's there's like occasions already where it's like creating stuff that it wasn't supposed to create, or like it's stuff that it's not even supposed to know. So like to answer your question, technically, like it's kind of already happening, but it can't replace your own creativity. It can't, like, it can be creative. It can will likely be able to create its own creations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what's scary about AI, like it being able to reproduce on top of itself. But what I tell people is like, dude, the number one thing that you own that could bring value to this world is your own creativity. Nobody could ever take that away from you. So yeah, man, I think to answer your question, like it's gonna happen. But if you want to shine, you still gotta like come up with
Well, your creative side, yeah.
You know what's crazy though? And I deal with this. Like this is a problem a lot of people are gonna deal with, where it's like because of AI, like
You're lazy.
no,
That's happening to me.
you get lazy, but also like you can literally create anything, bro. You can make a whole Pixar movie. Like that's like one of my goals. Like one of my goals is like I want to like actually create Pixar style movies and shit like that. And now
I'm writing a book.
yeah,
It's not that hard.
that's it. Yeah. And then you take that book, you put it into a movie. Like that's gonna be so easy to do next year. And I think a lot of people are gonna be afraid of their own potential. Like I think that's what's gonna happen.
And which is my original point that I was making earlier, where like I don't think everybody would just leave because people by nature are afraid of their own potential.
Dude.
Yeah, we just have an extra tool now to showcase that potential and to actually put it into work. But tools have been there for ages relative to where technology is at that point in time. And people, trust me, I preach. I think I've told you this too. I'm getting deja vu from our conversations a couple of years ago, but I would preach for years why people should quit their jobs, especially if you're in sales.
Yeah.
Like I am a believer
Yeah.
that if you are in sales, and God forbid if you're in commission only sales, but like in a W-2 environment, like dude, just go find a product to sell on your own and you'll make way more, you know?
Yeah.
But people won't quit. And they won't quit. And there's no logical reason, if you draw this out on paper, ask ChatGPT why they won't quit. And the reason they give you is a bunch of fluff. Like, and it'll be like, oh, job security. But you don't really have any fucking job security. You get fired whenever, you know? Oh, benefits. You could make way more money. You could pay for your own benefits.
Bro.
There really isn't a lot, yet people don't quit. So I think when I was, arguing that I don't think that would happen, It wasn't from a capacity standpoint. I mean, copywriters nowadays, like, that's like a dead fucking career. That's just one of many that, any Joe Schmo in the street can make a fucking movie and write a book now.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you still need to have some sort of knowledge. It's just easy to just put it together, which is your point of creativity. You still got to have your own creativity to get shit done. But for whatever reason, the way that we're wired as humans, we're wired to be comfortable. And don't get me wrong, is it changing? Is the landscape changing? And throughout an extended period of time, if our generation's changing a little bit, and the one under us a little bit more, and so on and so forth, what's going to happen? Compared to like religion or like gay rights or something, you know what I mean? Like, this is the evolution of Earth, of humanity as a whole. 30 years ago, you couldn't be gay and show your face anywhere. Now you can fucking do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I can see that being an argument as to where like maybe everybody wants to work on their own, and then it'll change the landscape of things. But obviously still in a way where you can coexist. And the hard time is for us because we got to transition. You also got to remember, kids are being born into the shit. So they're not going to even be transitioning into anything. That is the way it works. Like, did you have a hard time using a computer when you got to work at ADP? No, it was fucking second nature. My parents had a hard time adapting to going from like writing shit in pen and paper to typing, or from a copywriter to a desktop. So I think, like, if you look back at history, humanity has shown time and time again that they're resilient and they'll adapt. But I agree. I think we're in a dangerous time where, like, if you don't learn how to leverage AI, if you don't just buy into the fact that you need to learn it and use it and utilize it and be conscious that it exists and that you need to apply into your business ASAP, you're going to be behind the eight ball. So no argument for me there, dude. But yeah, I find all this shit fascinating, by the way.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like, everything you just mentioned, like, I go deep on that topic too, which I think there's going to be a revolution now with kids taking a lot of market share. Because everything you mentioned, dude, like the people that are working corporate jobs.
It's already happened, bro.
Yeah, the people that are working corporate jobs and like they don't quit. Like you mentioned, like no matter what, they won't quit. It's because, or even people that are just unsuccessful. Like it's a wire. It's a programming. It's all programming. And the older you are, the more baggage you have, the more hurt you've been. Where kids, they're coming into the market, never been hurt before. And they're like, what's this? And they don't overthink anything. They're Joe Dispenza, he talks about this, where like kids, like they'll cure anything within themselves because they don't believe they can't do something most times. And that's why there's a huge shift.
Psyche is clean from zero. Yeah, they're not coming in with resistance that we have.
The resistance, that I love that you said that, bro, because I heard this recently. It's like success is actions in the right direction minus resistance. That resistance is it holds people back, bro. And I didn't notice it because I kind of had like fast success with everything I was doing, and then I got hurt a little bit, and then I started feeling that resistance. I'm like, I get it. I see why people struggle. It makes sense. So that's why, like with the sitcom, and it's called the AI marketing imposter. The reason it's called the AI marketing imposter is it's a story of somebody who's struggling with their business, and they start using all these tools, but they start feeling like an imposter. They start getting imposter syndrome. Like they fight these like limiting beliefs, and then eventually they learn how to use AI to just dominate in their market. I think. Yeah, I think that's how it's gonna go. I'm still writing.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I can go on this topic for 2 hours with you. So,
yeah.
For the sake of time here.
Yeah.
All right. So, I got one last question for you, Elvis, and then we'll wrap up. I need you to go back in your mind right now and think about those 3 days in the trading firm when you thought you wanted to be a day trader, and then you realized that you weren't going to be a day trader. If you knew then what you know now, today, December 27th, 2024, what advice would you give that Elvis? Ooh, he did the deep breath. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like 8 for 8 on these. Take your time.
Learn. I would say the most impactful growth I've had has been just a spiritual journey of becoming more self-actualized and just learning how to make my own decisions. And I think during that time, especially when you're in your teens or early 20s, most times you're just making decisions based off of what everybody else is doing around you, or based off of what people think you should be doing. And it wasn't until I started breaking free from those thought patterns that I actually started thinking for myself and started just thinking, what the fuck do I want? Like, why? It's like all these rules don't even make sense. Especially now, it becomes even more apparent. Like, all these kids are going to college right now, getting a degree. It's like, for what? Like,
No reason.
because somebody told them they should. It's like when the market's clearly showing they don't need to.
Right.
So I think that is the first important lesson, dude, because once you've mastered that, which I still don't master it, I don't think you ever really do, but once you get better, dude, you can start making more of the right decisions.
Good. Couldn't have answered that any better, bro.
Yeah.
I want you to know, Elvis, that I'm rooting for you, bro. You know I always have, I always will be. I know that, I mean, you're already crushing it, but I know that this 2025, you're going to hit it out of the fucking park. And I want you to think about us little people once you do. Don't forget who was here for you and who believes in you from day one. And dude, keep doing what you're doing, bro. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. I love that you didn't like back down on my questions. And I know you believe in what you're saying, and obviously it shows with your actions and with the risk you're taking. I want you guys to know that Elvis could go make, $200,000 a year at a job right now, and have no worries, even though $200,000 ain't even that much money. Yeah. Instead, he's chosen to chase a path of education and entrepreneurship. So good for you, bro.
Gotta keep on impacting people, man. That's all it is.
We're here for you.
Let's do it.
My brother.